Hello guys, my name is Prince and this is Math Center. Subscribe to my YouTube channel for more videos. Post your comments and questions on my social media handles and I'll respond to it. The topic we are treating today is algebraic expressions, and this is the second video on algebraic expressions. In the first video, we learned what algebraic expressions are. We learned how to identify a term in an algebraic expression, and we also learned how to identify like terms. In this video, we are going to learn how to add and subtract algebraic expressions. So let's begin. Addition and subtraction of algebraic expressions. Only like terms can be added or subtracted. So as we saw in the previous video, there may be like terms in an expression, and this point is telling us that you can only add or subtract like terms. Now, how do we proceed? To add or subtract, the first thing you must do is to group the like terms in the expression. So for example, if we are to consider this expression here, 4x plus 6a minus 2x plus 5a. So we have this term here 4s, we have this term 6a, we have this term minus 2s, and we have this term 5a. If you are to add this or subtract this expression, the first thing you must do is to group the like terms. As you saw from the previous video, 4x and minus 2x are like terms, so we are going to group them together as we have here. Then 6a and 5a are also like terms, so we group them together. So this is what we mean by grouping like terms. You bring the terms that are like together. Then from there, you add or subtract the coefficients of the variables. In the previous video, we learned that the numbers attached to the letters are the coefficients of the letters or the variables. So in this case, the number attached to s is 4. So 4 is the coefficient of s. The number attached to this s is minus 2. So minus 2 is the coefficient of s. The number attached to a is 6. So 6 is the coefficient of a. And in the last term, the number attached to a is 5. So 5 is the coefficient of a. This point is telling us that we have to, after you've grouped the like terms, you should add or subtract the coefficients of the variables. So if it is subtraction, as we have in this case here, we have 4x minus 2. What you do is you subtract the coefficients. So we are going to subtract minus 2 from 4, since we have 4x minus 2. So we are going to have 4 minus 2. Then in this case here, you also add the coefficients. We are going to have 6 plus 5. So if you are adding this, you add or subtract the coefficients. So in the first instance, we are subtracting. So we have 4 minus 2, and that will give us 2. Then you pick one of the variables. Since we have s here and s here, you pick one of the variables. So you are going to have 2s. In the second instance, you have 6a plus 5a. So we add the coefficients. So we add 6 to 5, we are getting 11. So you have 11a. Remember, from here we do not add a to a. The points told us that we add or subtract the coefficients of the variables. We don't subtract the variables. Once again, s is the variable in this case and 4 is the coefficient. So after you've grouped the like terms, you add and subtract the coefficients of the variables. Now let's take some more examples and get conversant with this. So we are being told to simplify the following. We have been given a, b, c, and d. So let's begin by simplifying a. A is 22x minus 4sy minus 7s plus 3sy. So as we saw in the previous slide, the first thing we must do is to group like terms. So clearly we can see from this that the like terms are 22s and 7s. They are like terms. Then minus 4sy and 3sy are also like terms. So after we've grouped the like terms like this, the next step to do is to add or subtract the coefficients. So in the first instance, we are having 22x minus 7x. So we are going to subtract 7 from 22. So you are going to have 22 minus 7. In the first instance, in the second instance, we have minus 4sy plus 3sy. Once again, we are adding the coefficients. So we are going to get minus 4 plus 3. So in the first instance, we have 22s minus 7x. So we are going to get 22 minus 7. That will give us 15. So we are going to have 15s. Remember that we are subtracting the coefficients. Now in the second instance, we are going to have minus 4 plus 3. We know that minus 4 plus 3 will give us minus 1. So in actual sense, we were supposed to have minus 1 sy. But if you have minus 1 sy, it's written as minus sy. So whenever a term is written and there is no coefficient attached to the term, it means the coefficient there is 1. So we see from here that we have minus sy. Minus sy is the same as minus 1 sy. So minus 4 plus 3 will give us minus 1. So we are going to have minus 1 sy, which is written as sy. So once again, you group the like terms. So we have 22s and 7s grouped together here. Then we have minus 4sy and plus 3sy grouped together here. You subtract, in this case, you are subtracting the coefficient. So we have 22 minus 7. That will give us 15. So we have 15x. Now in this case, it is addition. So minus 4 plus 3. We know that minus 4 plus 3 will give us minus 1. Then we have xy here. So we pick one of them. So we have minus 1 sy. And minus 1 sy is written as minus sy. So our correct answer is 15x minus sy. I'm going to clean here so that we can continue on what we are doing. So let's take the next example, B. We have 3c squared plus 7cd minus 4c squared plus 5d. So once again, the first thing we need to do is to group like terms. And we can see clearly from here that 3c squared and minus 4c squared are like terms. Those are the only like terms that we have, because 7cd and 5d are not like terms. Remember that we said in the first video that for two terms to be considered as like terms, they must have the same letters, and the letters must also have the same power of numbers. Now here, the letter or the variables here are cd. The letter or the variable here is only d, so they are not like terms. So we group the like terms and we leave the unlike terms. So when grouping the like terms, I chose to write the unlike terms first. So we have 7cd plus 5d written first. Then the like terms, which are 3c squared minus 4c, will also be written. Then from there, our next step is to do the addition or subtraction. So in this case, we can see from here that since 7cd and 5d are not like terms, we cannot add them. So they are written just like that. But when we come here, we have 3c squared and 4c squared being like terms, and the operation separating them is minus. So we are going to have 3 minus 4. Remember, we said that we will add or subtract the coefficients. So 3 minus 4. We know that 3 minus 4 is minus 1. So we are going to get minus 1 c squared. But just as we learned in the first example, minus 1 c squared is the same as minus c squared. So the answer for B will give us 7cd plus 5d minus c squared. We are not adding 7cd to 5d because they are not like terms. Let's take the next example, C. And C is giving us 14y minus x plus 2y minus 6s minus 5y. So once again, the first thing that we need to do is to group the like terms. And if we are grouping the like terms here, you will see that we are going to have 14y plus 2y minus 5y as like terms. Then minus x and minus 6s as like terms. Now, after we've grouped the like terms, the next thing that we need to do is to add or subtract the coefficients. So you can see from here that with the first two is addition, then the third one is subtraction. So we are going to have 14 plus 2, which will give us 16. Then 16 minus 5, which will give us 11. Then in the next instance, we have minus x minus 6s. Now once again, remember that I said whenever a variable is written and you don't have a coefficient in front of it, it means that the coefficient there is 1. So with minus x, it actually means that the coefficient there is 1. So you are having minus 1 minus 6. We know that minus 1 minus 6 is equal to minus 7. So if you are simplifying this, we know that 14 plus 2 is 16 minus 5 will give us 11. So we have 11y. Minus 1 minus 6 will give us minus 7. So we have minus 7s. Now, let's look at the last example, D. And D is giving us 7a squared plus 5a minus 7a raised to the power 4 plus 5a minus 2a raised to the power 4 minus 4a minus a raised to the power 4. So what we have to do once again, remember the first step. The first step is that you group the like terms. So we group the like terms. 7a raised to the power 4 minus 2a raised to the power 4 and minus a raised to the power 4 are like terms. So we group them together. Then 5a and minus 4a are also like terms, so you group them also together. Remember, when you are grouping the like terms, we don't change any of the signs, we just change the position. So we have 7a here, so you leave it there. Then minus 2a is a like term, so remember when it's coming, you already have a minus there, so we write it as minus 2a. Minus 2a raised to the power 4 is already minus, so you write the minus there. Then minus a raised to the power 4 is already minus, so you also write the minus there. We just change the positions, we don't change the sign. 5a is positive, so plus 5a. Then 4a is negative, so minus 4a. Remember that a raised to the power 4 and a are not like terms. In the first video, we said that for two terms to be considered as like terms, they must have the same letter, 1. 2, they must have the same power of numbers. Now we can see from here that even though they have the same letter a, this a here is a raised to the power 4, and this a, the a attached to the 5, is a raised to the power 1. So they don't satisfy those two conditions that we gave. For two terms to be considered as like terms, they must be the same letter. So in this case, it's a and a is true, but the power of this a is 4 and the power of that a is 1, so they are not like terms. So after you've grouped like terms, we move on to our next stage. The next stage says that we should add or subtract the coefficients. So what you are going to do is you are going to add the coefficients. We are going to add the coefficients of the first part, then we add the coefficient of the second part. So if you are adding the coefficient of the first part, you have subtraction and subtraction. So in this case, you are going to subtract. So you are going to have 7 minus 2 minus 1. Remember, a raised to the minus a raised to the power 4 is the same as 1 a raised to the power 4. So if you are subtracting, we are going to have 7 minus 2 minus 1. We know that 7 minus 2 is 5 minus 1 is 4. So you are going to have 4a raised to the power 4. Then we come to the second part. We have 5a minus 4a. So we are going to have 5 minus 4, and that is 1. So we are going to have 1a here. And once again, remember that if you have 1a, it is written as a. So our final answer is going to give us 4a raised to the power 4 plus a. Once again, remember that a raised to the power 4 and a are not like terms, so we cannot add it. Now, the table below shows some expression with corresponding correct answers and common mistakes that students usually make. So from what you've learned, we've come to see that if you have the expression 3x plus 4s as we have here, the right answer is 7s, not 7s squared. That is a mistake. If you have the expression s plus s, the right answer is 2s, because the first s has a 1 in front of it, the second s has a 1 in front of it. So what you do is that you add the coefficients, then you pick one of the variables. So you have 2x. So s plus s is 2s, not s squared. That is a mistake. S plus y. We know that x and y are not like terms. So just as we learned, you cannot add terms that are not like. So s plus y is s plus y, not sy. In the same way, 3s squared minus s squared will give us 2s squared, because you have 2 minus 1. Then we pick one of the s squared, which will give us 2s squared. So 3s squared minus s squared is 2s squared, not 2s. When we are subtracting, our main focus is on the coefficients, not the variables. 2s squared minus 3s squared will give us minus s squared, not minus x. If you look at the last example, 4s squared plus 2x, we can see from here that s squared and s are not like terms. So you cannot add 4s squared to 2s. So 4s squared plus 2s, the right answer for that is 4s squared plus 2s, not 6s raised to the power 3. That is wrong. So take note of these and pick more examples on additions and subtraction of algebraic expression. Now make sure that you don't commit any of the mistakes that I've shown in this table. Thank you so much for watching this video. See you in the next video, where we will continue on our studies on algebraic expressions. In that video, we are going to learn how to multiply algebraic expressions. Bye bye.